Hello, everyone. My name is Alwinators, and today we are going to make a video about Twitter cancel culture. Twitter cancel culture was one of the weirdest social trends ever born on the internet. Not because accountability is bad. Accountability is good. People who do awful stuff should face consequences. That part is obvious, unless you somehow got your moral compass from a broken vending machine. The dumb part was how Twitter turned everything into a public execution when the goal was not correction, not growth, not even justice. The goal was to make a scene, to get likes, to go viral, to dunk out somebody so hard that a mob of strangers could feel righteous for 10 minutes. And that is not justice. That is a digital blood sport with a blue check mark. The first problem of cancel culture is that it turned every mistake into entertainment. Someone said stupid 10 years ago, cancel them. Someone made a bad joke, cancel them. Someone misunderstood something, cancel them. Someone who made one awkward, badly worded comment in a 2009 tweet that nobody cared about until now, straight to the firing squad. Because apparently the internet decided it was also the Supreme Court. The issue was never just this person did something wrong. The issue was that Twitter users treated every situation like a chance to perform morality for an audience. People weren't asking, what happened? What should the response be? They were asking, how do I make my outrage look clean and impressive in 280 characters? That's how you get outraged. That sounds principled, but behaves like a circus. Cancel culture had the attention span. Oh my god, I had to take a breath because this shit is so fucking dumb. Cancel culture had the attention span of a goldfish on a red ball. A goldfish on a red ball. Nobody wanted context. Nobody wanted news. Nobody wanted to know whether a clip was edited, whether a quote was taken out of context, whether the person had apologized, whether the offense was real, whether the behavior had changed, or whether the internet was just being weird again. Oh my god. It was always the same pattern. Clip, outrage, pile on, trending topic, apology screenshot, then everyone moved on to the next target like a pack of emotionally underfed raccoons. Oh! Context matters because people are not static. Humans are messy. They grow, they change, they say dumb things, and sometimes they learn from them. Twitter cancel culture acted like a person's worst moment was their entire identity forever. That is lazy thinking dressed up as morality. A lot of the time, cancel culture didn't even hit the people it claimed to target. The big names will usually survive just fine. The real damage often landed on smaller creators, random employees, regular people, and anyone unlucky enough to be the internet's chosen lesson for the day. One bad post could wreck somebody's job, mental health, reputation, and future, even when the thing was minor, accidental, or already addressed. That's the part people like to ignore. Cancel culture loves to call itself justice, but justice is supposed to be proportional. It's supposed to fit the situation. Twitter punishment was usually not proportional. It was theatrical. And once a mob gets involved, the punishment stops being about the original mistake. It becomes about how many people can join in before the whole thing loses steam. Here's the funny part. A culture obsessed with holding people accountable actually made everyone less honest. Why? Because people learned that if they admitted a mistake, the internet might use it as ammunition forever. So instead of honest apologies, you got PR statements. Instead of real discussion, you got vague corporate apologies written by committee. Instead of learning out loud, people hit. That is not a healthy social environment. That is a panic chamber. If every error gets met with public humiliation, sorry, I can't stop thinking. If every error gets met with public humiliation, then people stop speaking naturally. They become robotic, cautious, sanitized, not because they became better people, but because they are scared of being sliced apart by strangers with profile pictures of anime characters and be kind in their bios. The irony is brutal. One of the stupidest parts of cancel culture was how often it blurred the right. My fucking English, bro. Was how often it blurred the line between actual harm and simple disagreement. Not every offensive joke is the same thing as abuse. Not every bad joke is violence. Not every ignorant take is evil. Not every awkward human being is a monster. Twitter acted like there was no difference. If you were imperfect, you were cooked. If you disagreed with the crowd, you were suddenly a threat. If you used the wrong wording, the internet behaved like you had committed a felony against civilization. That mentality is garbage because it trains people to fear disagreement instead of dealing with it. It turns conversation into landmines. It creates a culture where the loudest people win, not the most accurate ones. And the loudest people on Twitter are rarely the wisest. Shocking. I know. Real accountability should leave room for change. People should be able to say, I messed up. They should be able to apologize. They should be able to make amends. They should be able to do better. Cancel culture often didn't want that. It wanted for a permanent scar. It wanted a public label. It wanted someone to be branded and kept in a penalty box forever. Because a neat little villain is easier to manage than a complicated human being. But if you remove the possibility of redemption, then you are not encouraging better behavior. You are just building a system where people to learn to lie better. That's not progress. That's just cosplay justice. So yeah, Twitter cancel culture was dumb. Not because accountability is dumb. Not because consequences are dumb. But because the whole thing got warped into performance, cruelty, and social points. It rewarded outrage over understanding, punishment over growth, and viral humiliation over actual resolution. The internet should hold people accountable. Absolutely. But accountability without context is just mob behavior with better branding. If a society can only process mistakes through dog piles and public shaming, then it is not becoming more moral. It is becoming more fragile, more performative, and more addicted to outrage. And honestly, that was the most Twitter thing imaginable.